Okay, the next thing that we are going to see is how to add objects over here. Fine. So adding object basically means that you want to have some kind of shape which you want to work with. So Blender gives us different kind of objects. Fine. So over here you can already see one object. This is a cube which is called as a mesh object, and mesh objects are what we work with most of the times. Then we have some kind of lights. Any environment that you're going to work with will need some light. Fine. And a camera which is required if you're going to create the animation or you want to see the output of whatever you have created as an image or something, a camera is required. So typically we'll be working with these three objects at these three kind of objects: camera, mesh objects, and these things. So let's see how we can add an object. So first of all, let me delete this object. I will select the object, press X or delete key to delete the object. Now where will my object get added? So our object gets added where the 3D cursor is. You can see this cursor type of a thing, circle with 4 ticks over here. This is our 3D cursor. This is used for placing our objects. Generally we prefer that our objects are added at the center location and then we move them accordingly, but that's not a compulsion. Now to add an object you can press Shift A as a shortcut, or you can go to add and add an object from here. You will see a lot of things and you'll be excited about those things, but don't get into the details of that. So our interest is primarily going to be in mesh objects. So there is a plane, cube, circle, UV sphere, another kind of sphere, cylinder, cone, torus, grid, and monkey. Fine. So if you are interested in making a particular kind of shape, fine, you can start with these shapes. So this is a primitive shape. Like if I wanted to make aeroplane hull or something spherical shape or a balloon or something like that, I would start with a circle, right? If I wanted to make say a tire or something, I would start with a torus, something like this. Fine. Whenever you add a shape, you will get some controls over here before you click anywhere else, and you can change certain things about that shape. Fine. So like how complex or simple it can be or something like that. So after that the shape is added, you can click somewhere and you are ready to work with that shape. Now how do you add a shape or object somewhere else apart from where the 3D cursor is? So of course you have to move the 3D cursor. There are different uses of 3D cursor, but for the time being you can just click the 3D cursor anywhere. Fine. Now when you click the 3D cursor anywhere, it goes randomly because we are in a 3D view area, and we add this, and let's say we will add a cone over here. Now if you remember the previous one, if you go to the front view it will look like this. If you go to the top view you will realize where exactly the cone is. Fine. So even while adding, what you could do is like go to the front view, click the cursor somewhere. Fine. Like I want it here, and now go to the top view. That will give you an idea where this is. So if you wanted your object to be placed here, fine, then we add our object here. So now let's go into the 3D view. It looks different, but this is where my object will be added. That means somewhere, if I'm looking from the top towards the left hand side, and if I look at the front view again towards the left hand side, so somewhere here it will get added. So we add our object from here, and let's say I will add a cylinder over here. Fine. Again the options for cylinders have popped up, so I can change some settings over here. I'll click and my object is now added over here. Fine. Once your work is done, get back to this standard selection box tool. This is what is there. So this is how we can add our objects. Fine. So after adding objects, what we can do is we can move them around, we can scale them, and we can do many other things with the object. So this is the simplest thing about objects. Now the last thing before we get into scaling and all, it's preferable that your 3D cursor is usually placed in the center. There is no specific reasoning, but generally we prefer that it should not be lying here and there. So you can say Shift and C from your keyboard and your 3D cursor gets into that particular area. Fine. So This is how we can add objects, start adding objects here and there and have some fun.